Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. We bring you this video every single morning to help you catch up with things that you might have missed out on whilst you were catching up with some all-important sleep, because let's face it, whilst you and I and the whole world needs sleep, the world of sport doesn't really sleep. There's always something or the other going on. So without further ado, let's check in and see what are the things making headlines in the world of sport. And let's first talk about something that has been dominating the discourse for a long time. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli playing domestic cricket. Now obviously there's been plenty of talks about the fact that both of them will be playing the Vijay Hazare Trophy, which is of course India's domestic 50 over tournament. And the reason that they're doing that is of course because they're one format players and because there was a diktat issued by the BCCI that any player who is playing internationally should be playing domestic cricket when there is no international games going on. So it seemed logical that that would be the case. There did seem to be a little bit of a push behind the scenes to get the veterans to do it, but both of them have agreed. And now though, there are reports claiming that there has actually been no push from the BCCI and that Rohit and Virat deciding to play domestic cricket was entirely their decision. Quite frankly, I don't know where this is coming from, especially since most people have been saying that, there has been talks of them being nudged towards playing domestic cricket because they're one format players and they need to do it for match practice. So for the BCCI to now come through in these reports and then say that no, it wasn't in fact imposed on them, it was their decision, seems a bit weird. I don't know what is going on here, but I'm sure that this is not the last that we've heard of this. Meanwhile, there have also been people defending the two veterans, notably former India batting coach Sanjay Bangar, who's actually come out in a pretty stout defense of both of them, saying that look, you need to not be questioning their futures and you need to be giving them some space considering what it is that they have achieved for Indian cricket. He also added that them being in the dressing room after the turmoil of the test series would have actually been a calming thing for a lot of the players, and so it makes no sense asking these questions now. There's absolutely no need. You need to give them space. You need to give them respect considering the amount that they have achieved for Indian cricket. And I happen to agree with most of what he's saying, but that's a different matter that, a lot of people feel that they perhaps may be done. I don't think they're done, and I think you need to be treating them with a little bit of respect. A team that doesn't deserve to be treated with much respect as things stand, well, Baseball era England. They've been struggling big time in the Ashes and just 2 tests in are already looking at a mountain to climb. They'll need to win the next 3 tests to have any semblance of hope of regaining the Ashes, because lest we forget, Australia are currently holders of the series. They drew the last time that they were in England. It was 2-2, and well, unless England can somehow produce a turnaround for the ages and win the next 3 tests, they're not regaining the Ashes, not retaining the Ashes. So that has led to a lot of criticism, and chief among them is Geoffrey Boycott, who has in fact been asking questions of England's preparations even prior to the series and is now justified. And he's basically said that anything that is coming from Baz and Stokes can be termed bull. You know what it is I'm trying to say. He said that we can't believe anything Ben or his team have to say, and none of them wants to listen to anyone outside of their own camp. And he's further gone on to say that the Stokes-McCullum regime is something of a closed bubble that thinks it's reinvented Test cricket. Again, I can't say I don't often agree with Jeff Boycott, but I think in this case, he's absolutely bang on with his assessment. They do tend to display that syndrome of we know what we're doing and you guys don't know, you're on the outside. Well, if we guys don't know what it is we're doing and you guys do, how is it you're 2-0 down in the test series? Plenty of questions to be asked there. Anyhow, switching our focus back to Indian cricket, former India cricketer Venkatesh Prasad, the pace bowler that he used to be, who has been elected president of the Karnataka State Cricket Association, and in fact, he will be accompanied in the presidency as the vice president will be Sujit Somasundar. He was elected the vice president, and Santosh Menon has been chosen as the secretary. Obviously, brings an end to a lot of the regime questions that were there for the KSCA. The main priority, of course, for them will be to ensure that come 2026, the Chinnaswamy Stadium is hosting IPL games, because there are still issues there. Of course, they've gotten backing from the state government as well, but let's exactly see how it is that goes. One more cricket story before we switch focus. Shakib Al Hasan, you remember, had claimed that he was retired from all formats of the game, and now he's actually withdrawn. In fact, or not all formats, he had retired from tests and T20s, but now he's actually gone ahead and withdrawn that retirement. He also says that he wants to be playing 3 more series at home. He wants to play a test series, an ODI series, and a T20 series, and only then call it quits. You remember that there were a lot of question marks about Shakib's future, considering the close ties he had to the Sheikh Hasina government. He was an MP for their party as well, and obviously he's not been in Bangladesh ever since the upheaval and the turmoil of last year, but it seems he's keen to come back and put his cricketing career there at least to a close. Switching focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, and my oh my, if you're a Real Madrid fan, there are problematic times. They crashed to a damaging 2-0 home defeat by Celta Vigo, and to make things worse, they were down to 9 men by the time the match ended. So not really good times in Real Madrid, and it's compounding it really when you consider the fact that there have been whispers and murmurs about an unhappy dressing room who have not quite bought into new manager Xabi Alonso's methods. There's a lot happening there. So how it is that goes, let's see. But it's definitely impacting things in the field, because again, how is it that their slump has been so pronounced that after they beat Barcelona in El Clasico, they had a 5-point lead. But as things stand, Barcelona actually have a pretty healthy lead at the top of the table. And speaking of top of the table, well, in Serie A, it's been a very competitive league this year in Italy, and now they've got new table toppers in Napoli, courtesy of a 2-1 win that was powered by Rasmus Højlund, the current Manchester United striker on loan at Napoli. They beat Juventus 2-1, and they're now back at the top of the Serie A table. It's been a very seesaw affair really, because I think at this point in time there's 4 or 5 teams who are in with a chance of winning the Scudetto. So a very competitive league, and the fact that Napoli have now won, a bit of a sweet victory really for not only Højlund, who was on a bit of a goal drought, having started the season so well, but also current Napoli manager Antonio Conte, who managed to get one up on Luciano Spalletti, the man who, yes, had led Napoli to the last title that they won with Victor Osimhen, was of course getting plenty of goals. So interesting times really all around there. And speaking of interesting times, some news from the Brazilian league, one that we don't often talk about, but which I think merits some mention here, because Neymar ended up playing a starring role in Santos' match against Cruzeiro. And why is that important? Because that particular 3-0 win that Santos registered ensured that they will not be getting relegated from Brazil's top flight. They came very close to relegation in 2023, which was just about a year after Santos icon Pele's death. And this time around too, they were in the relegation battle for the longest of times, and Neymar actually had to forego undergoing surgery on a meniscus to ensure that he could keep playing for the side and put in some clutch performances. He'd been putting in some good performances towards the last parts of the season, and this one really just compounds it. He has ensured that Santos will survive, and now he will undergo surgery on his left knee. Yikes, that's massive respect, massive dedication really from him. One couple more bits of news before we call it quits. Lando Norris is the new F1 world champion. He only needed a podium finish in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to basically seal the title, and it wouldn't have mattered where anyone else finished, and he got that. He finished third, sealed the title, the 35th world champion in Formula 1 history, and don't forget, he's also the first McLaren driver since 2008 to be crowned world champion. The one before him, Lewis Hamilton. So congratulations, Lando. Big win for you guys as well. And speaking of big wins, unfortunately, the Indian junior men's hockey team could not get that. In fact, it was the Germany team in the semi-finals of the Junior Men's Hockey World Cup who got a pretty big win, because they beat India 5-1. A humbling defeat really for India. And Germany have been one of those teams that have sometimes caused them problems in the past. But this, of course, pretty much a thrashing. Now, India will be playing the 3rd and 4th place playoff when they'll take on Argentina on December 10th. So if they win that, they're guaranteed to finish 3rd place. How it is that goes, well, you'll know right here on Sports Today. But for now, thank you guys so much for joining us on this video. We're calling it quits, but stay tuned. Plenty more coming through. Plenty more sports videos coming your way through the day. And as things stand, as always, if you enjoy our work, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook. And stay tuned through the day for more such updates from the world of sport.